Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back, and today I'll be discussing some of the newest makeup announcements and releases that have been made during the last couple of week times. And compared to last week, I think we're still had a couple of Valentine's Day launches that I wasn't able to discuss on my previous video because those haven't been announced, and aside from Valentine's Day, there's been then some other very interesting launches. And I think also in this video we are now starting to see more like general spring launches aside from the Valentine's launches that I think most we got during the last few weeks. But anyway, let's get to discussing the newest makeup announcements that have been made. So let's get my phone out and discuss some of the newest launches, and as always you will be seeing images on this side, and also I'll be linking all the accounts that I got the information from to the description box, so if you are interested in following those accounts, which I would recommend, then you can go to Instagram and follow them. So let's start with what would I call this? Line extension from Fenty. So Fenty has announced that they'll be doing a sort of sparkly version of their Gloss Bomb Stix. So this is their sort of glossy lipstick version of their popular gloss bombs they launched, or the original lipsticks during last fall, I think was when they launched those, and now they are bringing out a more shimmery version of the same product. I haven't yet seen these on our Fenty retailers. We did get the setting spray, like I think in the same time that the setting spray was launched everywhere, but so far I haven't seen the sparkly lipsticks on our retailers, so I don't know is this a case like it was with the Fenty blushes that we still haven't gotten, and I haven't heard any like word when the blushes are gonna be coming out here in Europe, so I'm also a bit curious to see that when these glossy like sparkly version of these lipsticks are also gonna come, because so far I haven't seen anything yet, but I think these are supposed to be available on US, so if you live in States you should be able to get them. Lancome is doing, I think what Lancome has been doing is that they've been repackaging their stuff, so they have now launched Teint Idole Ultra 24-hour compact setting powder, so they are continuing this theme of releasing their powder products in this sort of like very fancy rose compact, which I have said previously, because they launched the bronzers in this one, I actually do like the packaging a lot. So this is actually something that is available in our retailers. I have seen these in our department stores. It is a setting powder. I'm not sure are that all the shades that you're seeing in the image, is that the whole shade range, or do they actually have like shades in between? I also actually don't remember when I have seen these in store what kind of shade range it Lancome has, but I do have to say I like this packaging. Are Lancome prices generally prices that I like to pay from setting powder? Not necessarily. I think the setting powder would have to be something quite extraordinary for me to want to pay the prices, but if you like Lancome and you've been looking for a setting powder from them, this should already be available, at least here in Europe. So Dede's Signature has come out with their Valentine's collection, and aside from eyeshadow palette, they are also coming out with like liquid blushes. I think it was just recently that they came out with these blush trios, so it's nice to see that they're expanding to other products than eyeshadows. I do have to say the shade range, I think it's okay. I don't think it's anything super extraordinary in terms of liquid blushes, but there is a very nice gradient from, I think, to paler shades to very deep shades. And because Dede's Signature, I believe this is a Woman of Color owned brand, so I assume that these all the shades should work with different kind of skin tones, so I think that's pretty good that they are doing these. Not perhaps something that I'm that interested in. These have already launched, so these launch on Dede's Signature's website on 7th of February. Dede's Signature is sold here in Europe through Monolith Shop. However, I don't know, is it so that will only the eyeshadow palette that I'll be discussing next come to the next Monolith launch, or are we also gonna get the blushes? But if you want to get the liquid blushes, those are already available on Dede's own website. Then this was one of the Valentine's releases that wasn't yet revealed completely on my last video. So this is the Dede's Signature's eyeshadow palette. So they did a 9-pan. I do actually think it's pretty nice that they did a 9-pan, because I think this again has a lot of shades that we'll be discussing with some other Valentine's palettes. So I think this year we went to the pretty traditional route with the Valentine's releases, where there's been a lot of pinks and purples. And this palette also has pinks and purples in different tones, but it's a very small compact palette, and I kind of do appreciate this, because We have seen now a lot of those colors this Valentine's. So last year we had the grunge Valentine's. This year we maybe went back to maybe the normal Valentine's Day colors. I do actually like also the fact that this goes quite like from light to deep, so you actually do get quite nice depth with this one. For me, because I can actually show this, I ended up getting the Bella Beauty Bar Dead Roses palette on my last Monolith Shop order. I can like quickly show this around. So I think with this one, and because I got the Blend Money plastic palette in my sort of same order, I'm really pretty good with my purples and pinks for this Valentine's. But if you were looking for something smaller, Dede Signature, they have now this kind of, they have now a smaller 9 pan if you're interested. Again, this should be already available on their website, and we shall see if this will become available on Monolith's next launch. We are apparently not done with blushes, so this is apparently a shade extension, but it's really hard to think that have I seen these Lancome blushes, but I assume because everyone is saying this is a shade extension, then Lancome probably has these blushes. I could have actually talked about this with the setting powders. Anyway, so there are 6 new shades in this, what is this called? Ultra Fine Powder Blush Line Blush Subtil 6 pH. Oh god, is it a pH active? Oh. Damn. So this is apparently, if I'm reading the description right, these are pH reactive blush shades, which for me is always a bit concerning because, first of all, I'm not a fan of the pH thing. Most of the pH reacting products, they turn pink always, no matter what kind of skin tone you seem to have, and I'm a bit unsure because I do actually like some of the shades that are in this launch, but I would then very much like the shade to be what I'm seeing on the pan, as opposed to the fact that is the shade gonna change on my skin. So I've never been a fan of this pH thing, but I do have to say I do like some of the shades. There's this sort of very like a muted rosy shades. It's right beside the very poppy pink one, and also I do like the light pastel pink is also looking kind of nice, but I have a lot of those. But there were like, certainly when I looked at these shades, I was thinking, okay, that's quite nice for a luxury brand, which usually luxury brands do pretty traditional shades, but not a fan of the pH reactive thing. I really wish brands would stop doing that with their products. So Tarte products, and these, there's gonna be 3 of these, and we're gonna go through these all at once. So first one, they are coming out with Creaseless Glow Skin Filter. So I'm thinking the fact that because Tarte has had glowy concealers before, that is this a rebrand of one of their previous glowy concealers. Glass skin with a single swipe. This could be actually something that might be a bit too hydrating for my taste. Okay, this actually says that it's a glow up in a bottle, so actually now that I'm reading more and more about this one, I'm thinking that is this actually rather than being a concealer, because in the picture the tubes are looking quite small, but now that I'm reading more of this, this might actually be one of those Charlotte Tilbury-esque dupes. I do kind of have to give Tarte credit. This has a pretty like a, there's a good gradient from shades from light to deep shades. It's not the most, I'd say, extensive, but if this is more meant to be a sort of glowy highlighter or something you can use under your base makeup, then I can understand why they're not doing like a full-on like a what you would probably do as a normal concealer range. So if you've been looking for this sort of glowy makeup product from Tarte, apparently now they have one, and there seems to be like a decent amount of shades, and this at least I think is available already on Tarte's website. Then the second product Tarte is coming out with, this is Maracuja Juicy Lip Stain Liner. So I think we saw one of these where it's not this kind of traditional pencil lip liner or the retractable one, but this is more of a, it has this sort of a, what do you call this? It's like a felt tip liner. It's one of those like bendy liners, and there's like ink that comes, or ink, or not ink, but the color that comes to the tip. So this is a bit something different. So I do think few brands tried to do this last year, but I don't know where there's actually that's successful. I would rather have I'm a person who likes these very traditional pencil lip liners because you can sharpen those and you have more precision. I do think that the tip of this looks pretty precise, but yeah, this is actually say it's a stain meets liner, a lip stain and liner that defines tints and lasts. So it says that it will leave a tint, so I assume this is going to be one of those products that if you eat and drink something, you should have a bit of a stain if the product on top wears off. Not something I am particularly interested in, at least currently, but if you are interested in this kind of product, this should already be also available on Tarte's website. Then I think the product that was actually the concealer that I was thinking about. So Tarte is launching a Shape Tape Blur Hydrating Concealer Stick, and now I'm actually thinking that this actually might be a bit something new in Tarte's line, because they have had potted concealers, and of course the original Shape Tape was I think what made doe food concealers generally pretty popular. But this is more of a stick, so I assume that even though this is hydrating, but because it's in a stick format, I assume this is it gives more coverage than what a liquid sort of concealer would do. This apparently comes with a brush, so is this one of actually those that you can only buy at QVC? Because I know in America Tarte does a lot of those collaborations with QVC, and then you usually get some kind of a brush or some extra with it. Not something that I'm interested in, and also a bit unsure, and Tarte is one of those brands that is a bit harder for me to get anyway, so it's a skip for me, but that should all be, for now at least, the Tarte things that have come out in a couple of weeks. Kiko has also come out with a couple of collections, so we're gonna go both of these through. So the first one was a bit random, so Kiko has launched, what was this called? The Golden Oasis collection. What was quite interesting in this one is that they had face palette, this sort of face palettes that I think Makeup Forever made quite popular a couple of years ago. So you have a two-sided face palette that basically should have all the colors that, sort of all the like base elements, so there should be your foundation, concealer, blush, and bronzing shades. There's also quite a lot of lipsticks and also their lip glosses in this line. I do like the 3D Hydro glosses. Those are one of my favorite lip gloss formulas aside from the Fenty Gloss Bombs, but I also saw that there was an eyeshadow palette in this one. I do think the packaging of the eyeshadow palette was pretty cool, but then when I looked at the shades, there's a lot of mid-tone shades and they have only 3 shimmers in that one, so for me the palette was an easy skip, and generally this was a bit random. This is apparently an online only collection, and usually Kiko is one of those brands that they do this, they are very good at sort of in the fact that when their new collection launches, it's the same collection that will launch in stores the same day that it launches online. So it's one of those that if you have, for example, a Kiko store in your country, you can actually go to the store on the launch date and they will definitely have the collection. But this was an online only collection, which I do think a couple of people were commenting that it was a bit strange. Then a collection that was certainly not online only. This apparently launched in one of the Italian stores before it launched online. So this is a Kiko's official spring collection. So this is called the Dreamphoria collection. This is one of those cases where I have to say that the packaging is prettier than what is inside. I do think that Kiko's last spring collection was pretty unique in the fact that actually what the products were also inside the packaging were actually kind of exciting. I'm still, one of the eyeshadow 9 pans was kind of something I was still a bit bummed about that I didn't get, but there were other things that I wanted to buy more during that time, and also there were some like cheek and lip products in the spring collection last year that I liked more. However, unfortunately with this one, it's like I think the eyeshadow palettes, I looked at the eyeshadow palettes, these are 6 pans, and on the Kiko site these are over 20. I think these are 26 euros or something, and I was like looking at the color store and was thinking that these color stories really don't match, because if you're giving me this sort of almost pastel purple and mint green package, and then when you look at the insides of the eyeshadow palettes, I was kind of thinking that yeah, the colors, you're just giving me 2 basically neutral eyeshadow palettes that are the colors that we have seen Kiko over and over again. They did also have one new gloss bomb shade. It was more of a really decent looking purple shade that actually did look kind of cool, and then they also, because they last year launched a lip oil version of the gloss bombs, they also did like extend that with I think 3 new shades. There's also a bunch of other lip products in this one. I think there's liquid lipsticks, and also there are blushes and highlighters. I like this collection. Look, the packaging is pretty, but unfortunately just for me what is inside the packaging, it's very repetitive, and for me, unlike the last year's spring collection, this year Kiko, this wasn't a hit, and I hope with the summer collection we might see something. Maybe something that's put more effort also put to the products that are inside. I do actually think between the 2 collections, the Golden Oasis at least had, I think, a bit better products also in terms of what was inside the packaging than just the fact that they only put all the effort in the packaging, what seems to be at least the case with the spring collection. But both of these collections are available, so if you wanted to get individual items from like each of these collections, if you want to get stuff from the Golden Oasis collection, then you have to obviously just order online, but with online you can now then, if you want something from the Spring and Golden Oasis collection, you can definitely do that. So now that we're done with Kiko, then maybe probably the most strange launch that I have heard, especially a lot of US influencers being pretty baffled about. So Rare Beauty has extended their line of products and they have come out with soft pinch matte bouncy blushes. And Rare Beauty already has quite a lot of blushes in their line because they have the liquid blushes and then they also had the sort of cream blush, but apparently this is also a sort of cream to powder formula if I understood correctly. However, apparently what made this strange is that this was apparently available to US consumers through the Sephora app on just one single day. And then people who were invited to a PR event got this in PR. But there were apparently a couple of people who did manage to get this on the sort of quick launch on the Sephora app, and then the brand announced that the official announcement of this one isn't until March. So that's an interesting rarity tactic that Rare Beauty used with these ones. So these are going to be when the actual launch of this is going to happen, which is apparently during the March, so it's apparently going to be $27 US. I think that's pretty in line with Rare Beauty. I appreciate Rare Beauty for the fact that it's not the most expensive of several brands, and I actually did like, aside from the lipstick, I did like most of the stuff that I tried from the brand last year. Looking at the blush shades, there's one muted pink shade that I'm kind of eyeing that looks kind of nice. I'm not in a super hurry to get new blushes because we all know a couple of last year have been crazy with the blush, and I am thinking that maybe again Rare Beauty should have launched this during the last year when blushes were still very hot, because I do think now that even though we're seeing more blushes, a lot of people are like opting out from the blush launches because we have gotten so much of them during the last few years. NYX is doing what I think everyone assumed NYX will be doing, so they are going to be expanding their Buttermelt cheek product line with highlighters. I think pretty much everyone saw this coming, that after the bronzers and blushes that they're most likely gonna come out with highlighters. There's only so far been a couple of images released from these ones. These look like some kind of, I don't know, is the packaging that you're gonna see on the image, that is it some kind of sample or tester packaging from a sort of retailer that have gotten these early or something, but I still don't, but maybe keep your eyes out for the fact that is the packaging actually the final packaging more going to match what has been with the blushes and bronzers. I have liked my Buttermelt bronzer very much, but it is very pigmented. I do have to be a bit careful when I work with it, and because of the pigmentation I still haven't gotten any of the blushes. However, the highlighter, at least based on these two images, these do look kind of nice, so maybe with the highlighters I could be tempted to get one of these. I still haven't said like completely no to the blushes, it's just that because the blush formula apparently is also as pigmented as with the bronzers, it's been hard to like determine on store, okay, that which shade is that I'm going to take, because all the shades pretty much are very punchy when you swatch them out in the store. I still don't know when this is going to be available. Apparently there's still no launch date, but I'll be interested to see, because I do think NYX did execute the formula of this particular line quite well. And we're going to be having more Valentines. So Morgan Turner did a collaboration with Oden side. This is called the Love Language collection, and I did discuss this, and there was also one other, there's going to be also one other Valentine's launch that we're going to be discussing also in this video that I put on my community tab. So in this one there's an eyeshadow palette and there's altogether 5 lip products, and I do have to say, as I already discussed before, pink and purple seem to be the theme of this year's Valentine's launches, and because I got I did get the Lovers palette from Cosmic Beauty. I still haven't gotten that into my makeup rotation. I already have the Blend Bunny's plastic palette, which was kind of pinks with neutrals, and then I got the Dead Roses palette from Bella Beauty Bar. That was a palette launch from last year, but they re-released it during this Valentine's. So I think just in terms of color stories, I'm pretty good with this one. I was thinking that would I like to get this one because I do actually like Morgan's content. I do think this palette pretty much describes the kind of makeup user she is. So there's purples, which is her favorite color, and there's some neutrals and pinks, but I opted out thinking that, yeah, but I already like have this a dozen times over. I was kind of eyeing the lip products and I was a bit bummed because Oden's Eye has been doing a lot of these sort of reddish orangey leaning lip products. They have done that with their staple line products. And also what I do think is that when they came out with the Legendary Diversa collection during last spring, I think the biggest issue was that in between the three collaborators, all the lip products looked kind of same, and I'm a bit bummed that with Morgan, because this was a pink-purple themed collection, I was hoping that we might finally get some pink neutral toned lippies, but unfortunately also a lot of these lippies in the Morgan's collections are pretty like red orangey leaning. There was one like neutral brown, which I was thinking that if I would have ordered the palette, then I would have maybe got a neutral brown lip, but it's a pretty collection and congratulations to Morgan, but because I have now gotten quite a lot of the same color story during this Valentine's, I am so at least for now skipping this one over. So some ColourPop launches. So ColourPop has come out with a, what is this, foundation stick, so we're doing complexion products. I think someone discussed, maybe it was Angelica Nyquist who discussed this in her video, that this might be trying to do the ABH foundation stick that she came up with during last year. These thick kind of foundation products were actually pretty popular with high-end brands because also Charlotte Tilbury came out with her Flawless Filter stick foundation or a glowy base, whichever you use that kind of product. So I think the ColourPop is just going with the sort of trend that is trending with the complexion products. This is probably going to be very glowy, and again, ColourPop is not a brand that I can get easily order products from, so for me this is a skip. But if you have been looking for a glowy foundation stick from drugstore, especially in US, this could be something to look into. So Juvia's plays another US-based brand, and this is actually a brand that we don't hear that a lot from these days, because I do remember, like, especially before pandemic, they constantly came out with new collections and new products, and a lot of influencers were talking about them, but they have definitely, I think, slowed down. So Juvia's Place is coming out with a cream blushes, so they are also continuing with the blush trend. Again, Juvia's Place is a woman of color owned brand, so I do believe these even the lighter shades should work for different kind of skin tones, so that's always a good thing. Juvia's Place, unfortunately, is a brand that I can't get. This used to be a brand that we could get here in Europe from Beauty Bay, but at some point they drove back from Beauty Bay, and I don't think currently there isn't any European retailer for this brand. So unfortunately, even though this could be a brand that I have been actually curious to try out, but because I would have to order this from US, this is a skip for me. But if you live in the US and you have been looking for cream blushes, and I think Juvia's Place, I think they're available in States in Ulta, so if you are looking for a drugstore option for cream blushes, this should you could look for those there or from their website. So Milk Makeup, we are seeing more hydrating base products, which seems to be the trend of this spring, or the beginning of this generally this year. So Milk Makeup is releasing Hydro Grip 12-hour Hydration Gel Tint. So this is based on the name more of a skin tint rather than a sort of full coverage foundation. Milk Makeup is quite widely sold in our country, but because it's a glowy skin tint that doesn't suit my particular skin type, it's a easy skip. But I do think for skin tint the shade range seems to be quite decent. We actually do have like quite many shades from light to deep, so that's good for them. So another Valentine's release that I was launching, because this actually launched during the same day as the Oden's Eye collection. So Arttitude Cosmetics came out with the Ink and Roses collection, and with this collection there was also individual multi-chrome eyeshadows, but and a brush set, but I'm more gonna focus on the eyeshadow palette. I was actually more interested about this palette compared to the Oden's Eye one, because this actually, aside from having like these very muted pinks and purples, this has a bit of green in it, and then there were some deep blue shimmers in it, so it was a bit more perhaps unique than some other maybe pink and purple eyeshadow palettes that we've seen during the Valentine's Day. But I think I saw someone making a good comment, I think it was in my community post, that how does this compare with the Cosmic Brushes, the Lovers palette, and then I was kind of eyeing the palette that I had just gotten from on mail, and then I was eyeing the sort of product image of this, and I was thinking that there's like bit similarities. I do think this is the tones in this are maybe a bit different, and then there are some like different color differentiation generally with the colors between the Lovers palette and this one, but I do still think that I was thinking that okay, but I do have still something that has maybe the pinks and greens and purples again, so I decided also to skip this one. But I do think this was like the closest of the Arttitude cosmetic palette so far that I wanted to try, because Arttitude Cosmetic is one of those brands that would be a bit easier for me to get because it ships from UK. There is still some like how should I say, it is still a bit more expensive these days because of Brexit, but it is still like easier than, for example, getting stuff from States. But I decided that still, even though this would be a bit easier to get, I decided that I'm gonna be skip this one and that I'm good with my current Valentine's palette. But if you're interested in this one, this should also be available, and I think this still might be in stock because some of Arttitude's palettes have been notorious for selling out. We're continuing with the Valentine's theme. So Unearthly Cosmetics came out also with a Valentine's Day palette, and this is the 9-pan. I do think this was a bit... I think a lot of people were surprised because Unearthly is definitely known for doing these, I'd say, grungy, colorful color stories is what Unearthly does. They have some more like, also have been doing maybe some bit more neutral leaning things, but generally they do these grungy, colorful things, and I think that's what the brand is known for. But I think a lot of people, including me, were a bit surprised that this was pretty toned down launch from them, because this is actually pretty neutral leaning. And also when I was looking at the shimmers, I was thinking that yeah, it's pretty, but it's also something that this wasn't like screaming Valentine's. I think when I saw especially the colors swatched out altogether, for me this looks more like a sort of punchy summer palette, because there's a lot of like, there's some yellow and orangey tones in this one. But I do think that if you have been, if you were like maybe exhausted with the pinks and purples that we saw with a lot of Valentine's palette this year, maybe this could actually be a good option, because there is like a bit of pink and red here, but this is actually more like a yellow orangey eyeshadow palette. Unearthly Cosmetics is a brand that I own a couple of palettes from them. I do like them, but they aren't my favorite indie brand from like all of the indie brands that I have tried. But with them I am definitely have been more pickier in picking up that what palettes I do get from them. But this was an easy skip for me, because for me this didn't stand out from all the other Valentine's releases that we have been seeing recently. So Essence and Catrice are apparently doing another DEC collaboration. So for those of you who don't know, Essence and Catrice are actually sister brands. I believe they are owned by the same maybe parent company, and they occasionally do these like a few times a year where they do a collaboration together. So I think last year they did the Finding Nemo and Up the movie, which were like Pixar themed, and actually last year the DC collaboration they did, it was the Harlequin and Joker. So Essence did the Harlequin stuff and Catrice did the Joker stuff. So this year the DC collaboration team is apparently Superman and Wonder Woman, and first I'm gonna talk the Essence stuff and then we're gonna talk about the Catrice stuff. So Essence is doing the Superman themed stuff, and there were like, I was eyeing this, and some of these were like, I think okay, but I definitely think like from these two I'm already gonna say that Catrice did the Wonder Woman stuff better. I do think that the Essence stuff, this doesn't, I mean, you have the Superman S logo in a lot of these products, but it's done in the sort of like Superman goes very colorful, I think what would be the theme of this one. There's a couple of eyeshadow palettes. I do think the pink and green palette combination is quite interesting. Then there is a more neutral one. However, Essence is exactly not known for having eyeshadow. Some of their eyeshadow palettes have been like okay, but I, for example, haven't been buying Essence eyeshadow because I tried one of their palettes once and I didn't like it. Then there seems to be one of those, I think that's one of their like gel... Is that one of their like gel eyeshadows? Maybe. It's a bit hard because I can't see some of the text in the packaging. There's a face powder, then there seems to be some, I think those are like highlighter stick, then they have some colorful eyeliners, there's some nail stickers, and then there's some like lip care kind of products. Yeah, I think for me the Essence stuff is a skip. I do think that this is a bit more honestly, some of this looks like kids makeup and not in the kind of like fun way. So for me, the Essence stuff is definitely not the one that I would be getting from this collaboration. However, the Wonder Woman stuff from the Catrice collection, like this is good. I did the edit for this myself because it was a bit hard to find a good edit image. I think in terms of execution, like yes, someone can argue that is the packaging a bit beigey, but I kind of like how the beigey theme is incorporated with the Wonder Woman like logo in here. First of all, I do think that both of the eyeshadow palettes, like these aren't anything extraordinary in terms of color stories, but there is one cool toned one and one a warm toned one. This isn't going to be a collection that I'm going to be ordering online, but these collections have come to our retailers usually pretty quickly when these have been launched in, like after these have been launched in Germany, which is like the first market these usually launch on. And I know that the eyeshadow quality with these limited edition collections with Catrice has been pretty hit and miss, so especially because of the eyeshadow palettes, but also generally, this is a product that I actually want to kind of see in store before I make a buying decisions. But the eyeshadow palettes, I do actually like them, even though the color stories are a bit basic. The blush duos, I'm especially eyeing the more sort of neutral, what is called neutral reddish or neutral orangey blush that you're seeing in the lower corner. And the bronzer sticks are also looking pretty cool, and I do like that. I assume that the product in the round pan that's meant to be a full-on face highlighter or a blush lighter kind of product. So there's like a couple of lip glosses, and then we have some other products. But I do think the Catrice stuff, this like looks, this looks like makeup that I think if you like the sort of kid-esque makeup theme, that's okay, but I do think the Wonder Woman stuff is probably something that's going to be appealing to a lot more makeup consumers. I still don't have there wasn't like any launch date for these ones yet, and I don't think there's yet a place that you can buy these particular products, but I assume because they have like shown all the product photos, these are going to be launching soon, at least in Germany, and then you'll be able to get them in other countries when they start rolling out. Viseart is apparently continuing with their Vise Pro collection or palette. So these are apparently eyeshadow palettes that they're now doing, which sort of have their like existing eyeshadow shades that they curate into new color stories. So this is called the Vise Pro Paris Matte Étendu, and this can be $44 US. I do think a makeup artist would enjoy this, kind of like I could see that a makeup artist, because let's face it, apparently if you talk to any makeup artist, they will say that most people want something very neutral, and I think this is a perfect example of a makeup artist palette where you have a bit of like basic sort of maybe a little bit lilac leaning neutrals, and then you actually do have a couple of purples, and you have a good gradient from light to deep shades. So I'm not in a need of a all matte palette, but I can certainly see a consumer group for this one that are going to be pretty like thinking that this is exactly what they need. And also there are a lot of people who just like to do matte eyeshadows because, for example, shimmer shadows don't look nice on their crease, or just they just don't like using shimmers. So for those people also this is going to be perfect, but for me this is a skip. Then we're gonna be going through the last launch of the day. So this was actually just revealed yesterday. I was kind of thinking that is this going to be revealed by the time that my video is gonna go live, but we luckily got this. So Blend Bunny, they are being very busy. I was thinking that because they had so many like launches close by during last fall that they have maybe a bit of a breather during this year, but apparently not, because it's not that long ago when they launched the plastic palette, and now there's already gonna be the next one. So this is going to be, what was the name of this one? I saw the name of this one and now, okay, Beauty Below, yeah, now I got it. So Beauty Below, this is going to be launching on the February 21st. I'm thinking that because it's going to be launching on Blend Bunny's own website on 21st, and because Monolith Shop has said that their next launch is going to be by the end of February or in the beginning of March, and Blend Bunny has been actually one of those brands that they sent their stock to Monolith Shop already, like usually before the so that they can launch pretty closely with the US website. So I'm thinking that this might actually come to the next Monolith launch, if the launch time will be sort of during end of February, beginning of March. So this was inspired by the sort of like a Dangerous Mermaids of the like theme of like dangerous or murky or dark mermaids. I do think that the color story matches pretty well what the theme of this one is. And this is supposed to be apparently like a darker version of their, was it the Lure palette, or it was because they had a sort of mermaid themed palette previously, which I do think that already also had quite deep shades, but this is already like goes a bit deeper. I do have to say the color story with this is very beautiful, but this is a very deep leaning jewel tone palette, and for me, while I can have a few jewel tone shades as an accent colors, I am not a particularly fan of if there's only like deep shades. I think especially for me this is something that's gonna go too deep. I need a bit more light in my makeup looks to sort of make them work. But I do think that if you like this sort of jewel toned, very deep kind of colorful eyeshadow combination, then I think you're gonna be loving this. And Blend Bunny is very good at doing, for example, deep and colorful mattes that still will blend well. So you don't have to be afraid that if you're gonna buy this, that are the shades going to be like patchy or will they blend. The formula, especially the matte quality and also the way they have been upping their shimmer quality, the shades will blend in together, but I do still think that because in the end of the day these are deep shades, you're bound to going to be end up with a lot of deep looks. But if you are interested in this one, as I said, it's going to be available on Blend Bunny's website on the 21st of February, and if you live in Europe, you might want to wait for Monolith Shop and Monolith Shop to tell them when their next launch is going to be. But yeah, I think that was all the launches we had to discuss for today. I think this was a very interesting video this week from new makeup releases for the fact that there were like launches that caught my eye, but then I was thinking with a lot of them that yeah, those are nice, but I don't need those ones, because I do think definitely the most interesting releases was the Blend Bunny release and then also the Arttitude cosmetic palette launches, but I did in the end think that while those palettes look nice, I currently don't need them. I actually do have now quite a lot of like palettes in my rotation to try out, so I'm good with eyeshadow palettes for a while, and also generally with the other products, with other product categories also there weren't that kind of products that I was interested in. Comment down below what did you think about the launches that I discussed today, and are there something that you're going to be buying, or are you for example on a low buy or a no buy? If you like this video, push the like button and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell button if you want notifications from future content. You can also find me with the nickname Makeup Hedgehog on Instagram. I hope I can see you in another video. Bye bye!